This video series is titled Peak Performance. Peak performance. When do you perform at your best? How do you get yourself into that perpetual state where things are just flowing smoothly? Ideas are popping out left and right. Your mind is just full of rich content and you notice your pattern recognition is increasing. Take notice to when you experience such heightened conditions and just observe. Observe what you are doing, where you're at. What put you in that element, in that state of mind? Now you may notice that it's not just one specific experience or set of conditions that get you there, and that's good. It forces ourselves to become aware that we can achieve that heightened level of performance from multiple set of experiences and conditions. Once we become aware and record our own observations, we can then begin to place ourselves inside that state of peak performance so that we can stay in that element that we crave so much and want to experience more often. So it's becoming cognizant of when and where, when we have these experiences. We must sense that our focus, that our drive is being stimulated inside of our brain. The rest is up to us by choosing to recreate that experience for ourselves. In doing so, we can recreate that or some similar experiences so that we can have the ability to extend those moments where we lengthen our time in that environment and leverage that to our benefits. We can get creative with ourselves and really play around with mixing different things into our days that can help ignite that heightened awareness, helping us trigger the brain so that we may even be lucky enough, fortunate enough to have created new patterns that are now triggering us into that peak state more of the time. I can only speak for myself, and I know that these are true for me. In fact, I'm always running different case studies on my own self, recording my own results, and just observing when I'm more focused, when I get in that zone, and just taking note of what circumstances that I do to create that for myself. It's truly fascinating because sometimes I'll do things that are super simple. A couple of examples to mention. I added a couple of different bold colors in my office. I found myself looking at these bold colors more of the time. They were not big, they were just barely noticeable, in fact. Very simple. And it was a very bold, bright, colorful pattern. I think it was red, blue, yellow, orange, and purple. I placed it so it would capture like the corner of my eye, like my peripheral vision. And it truly did. I would notice it throughout the day. So it was off in the corner of my desk. No one could notice it. Not even any people mentioned or asked about why I had this random block of colors on my desk. But let me tell you, my eyes kept being drawn to it, drifting off when I would lose that focus and that intensity. I kid you not, my peripheral vision continued to capture that, and there was just that pause that got me to think about what I was doing, what I wanted to do, and rather than just drift off into nowhere land, I actually used that moment to my benefit to think about different ideas, different ways to get creative with the tasks for that day. And so I really used it to my benefit to help propel me forward. Again, very simple, subtle examples that I have done that have worked for me. Okay, other examples where I've had to get creative in my efforts to recreate this experience so that I can continuously be triggered. I would simply step outside of my office about every 90 minutes just to get outside and walk, mostly to see the sun and to just smell the air and to be out in front of nature. I would walk into different stores, just to look around and really reframe my mindset. There was no thinking, it was just doing and walking. These are very easy, subtle tricks. They're effortless, and they can really help empower your performance. So don't dismiss them because they seem silly or unimportant. They truly do work wonders. They may or may not work for you, but the key is not to adapt my findings. It is to apply these as examples to your own practices. And begin by just observing when you feel you're performing at peak levels, or when you have heightened sense of awareness and increased focus. Observe yourself and take your own notes. Look for different ways that you can create the environment to help extend that feeling, to prolong it, and find ways to get yourself right back in that same element, that zone. For me, I do best when I have sun, when I'm outside. So that's what I do every 90 minutes. I get myself outdoors to really reframe my mind. It brings me clarity, and I'm able to get right back in the game and be super focused. A couple small examples I can mention here is I also have water fountains, or I'll play different tones in the background, different frequencies. They help keep my mind stimulated and on task. I'm less likely to drift off or lose focus when I have them in the background playing, and they're very subtle and hardly noticeable, but our brain is picking up those signals, so it's worth a try. There's no one size fits all. We all have different triggers in our brains. It's up to us to pay attention to ourselves. Only we know best. Throughout the day, just notice at what point in the day you are drifting off or losing that zone experience. Schedule important things around the times when you know you do better. I place things around me as reminders why I'm working so hard. I truly try to switch objects around so that I'm not just glazing over the images. The more I switch up different things I do, the less likely I am to ignore what they are. So trust me, our brains are very smart at ignoring things that we're supposed to look at. So when you switch things up and rotate them out, you are subconsciously, triggering your brain to actually take notice and process. These are extremely actionable these are very extremely actionable tactics that you can put in place today. Obviously, I recommend that you first observe. So take that time to observe your own self and notice when you do your best. Then try to add and recreate, mix and match in your day different tricks, different things to help trigger your mind and help really rewire your brain without even thinking that you are doing this. It's really that simple. I know sometimes we want complexity, but sometimes simplicity is all we need. I'm happy to share my insights with all of you because I believe that no one should ever pay for such advice. I've been a student of self-development for so many years. I've studied all of the masters out there on my own, all of the main gurus that we all are probably familiar with. And I truly believe that there's not just one who has all the answers. It's truly been, to me, a compilation of one's own interpretation. It's been a compilation of all the knowledge that I have gathered, that I have consumed, soaked in, and absorbed, that has existed out there for me to consume. So this is just one way that I can help give back to the community, society, humanity. It's the least I can do to put this information out there in the public domain. These are my personal findings, my own analysis, my own interpretation. I am always my own case study, and I truly believe in putting forth and sharing my insights and perspectives. I hope that my content and my material, they resonate with you. I hope that you are willing to become part of this community, and I invite you and others to join me as we can all gain such insight, wisdom, and knowledge and advice from each other. And lastly, again, as always, please subscribe to my content and tell others about it. Consider that this is the one way that you can too contribute to humanity. It's like a gift that costs you no money to share. Just seconds of your time. Whomever you know that can benefit from this message, please take that moment and spread this content. I invite you to come back for more, and I also invite you to follow me on social media too. The links are in the box below. Thank you.